What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager class Tigertron figure. I ended up finding a single version of it at my local Walmart. Just for reference, I live in Pennsylvania, in case you guys want to go stake out your Walmarts. He was the only one there, and I was able to grab him, and so that was lucky on my part. Someone asked me on one of my Facebook pages how I found it. I said that it was a lot of luck, and I also had to sacrifice a small animal. There he is in his beast mode. His eyes are painted really well. My wife likes them because unlike, say, a bot like Cheetor, where he's just got the dead eyes, Tigertron... Oh, excuse me. That was like a hiccup. Jesus. Tigertron's robot mode had eyes, and they changed color for beast mode, but they had pupils, so this one looks the nicest to her. You've got this nice light cream colored paint across the figure. It could look a little haphazard sometimes, and it looks like there's like a little bit on this panel. It's not showing up on camera though. It's just not quite as white as the panel next to it, but then over on this side they're uniformly white, if you can see that difference. And I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if this is accidental or if this is missing it accidentally. Either way, this is his stomach. We've got a couple of combat ports down there. I like the way this closes up because it doesn't cover this as well as Cheetor did, but Cheetor covers it with his hands, so I feel like that's worse. And it also gives Cheetor these panels on the back of his hands. I'll show that off when we get there. And the size comparisons, he's got this sticking out for robot kibble. His toes are pointing out the back of the legs, and then you've got the shin armor here. Other than that, he looks pretty good. Got a little green panel there and a little green panel there, but I mean, for the most part, considering this is a mainline figure, this looks really good for the aesthetic they're going for. As far as posability goes, you got nothing at the head at all. No neck, no swivel. You've got an opening mouth, and that is it for the whole head area. So you've got nothing at the neck. I shouldn't have said nothing at the head. Nothing that moves the head is what I meant. And then you've got your 360 degree at the leg, which can move out over 90 degrees for whatever reason you would need that for. Due to transformation, it'll bend forward but also backwards at the knee. You've got a hinge here, which I honestly wish didn't exist because it just looks awkward. Why would you ever use it? And unless it's for transformation purposes. I never read the instructions. I use it for transformation purposes because it's there, but if it wasn't there, I wouldn't cry. And it makes it difficult to use the actual joint at the foot that's important, which is this ball joint. So you've got a 360. If you saw as I was rotating around, there's a cutout, so that way you can bend the leg down like this if you want. And then of course you can get some tiltage out of it, which is awesome. So that way when you spread his legs, you can actually tilt the paws a little bit to make it so that way he can stand properly. Just work those joints. There you go. Get it back to a neutral pose though. And that's about it for the front legs. Back legs are much in the same. Robot knees allow you to bend forward or backwards, not really forward. And then you've got a little bit of knee here. You can bend it back decent amount, and then you can bend it forward all the way basically in, just because it's part of the transformation. And then you've got another odd ankle joint back here. This one's stiffer though, so it's easier to manipulate the ankle without moving it, which is nice. And then you've got the ankle joint, so like if anyone is into the now pretty much canceled Digivolving Spirits line, their Metal Garurumon had ball joints at the front legs but not at the back legs, so this figure has both, which is great. And then the tail doesn't articulate, it just is sculpted at a nice angle. The difference between this tail and Cheetor's tail I actually like, because cheetahs are built for speed, and I like that the tail is out to the back because it makes it look like he's, you know, ready to run. And this guy, I mean, he's not lumbering or anything, but his tail is just kind of down because they just kind of stalk things in the jungle and just ambush them. So it would make more sense to get him kind of in a sneaking pose, and that tail would make sense for that. But that's it for the tiger mode. So we'll go ahead and get into some size comparisons, and then we'll take a look at, oh, one more thing before we get into size comparisons and transformation. He does have one accessory besides the tail, which is his gut gun. Oop, bumping my setup. Got some pink paint for the gut parts. My wife said it looks like brains, but we know it's the gut gun from the show. Other than that, nice and smooth down here like it's supposed to be part of a belly, but to store it, you just plug it in there. And he's got at best, a really long, irregular nipple, and at worst, something else. So I'm not a fan of the storage for this. Unless I have him displayed in robot mode, I store this in a bin. So we'll put it down, we'll put him down, we'll get into some size comparisons, and then we'll go ahead and get into his transformation. Here we've got him with the Rubik's Cube, with our Gore Magala statue, with the Volkswagen Bumblebee, with his fellow kitty cat bot Cheetor, and they made him a Voyager class, so he's just a bigger, beefier cat, like a tiger should be. If you compare the stomachs, there's a little bit of waist showing here, but they cover up the majority of the actual stomach, and there's not hands poking out. And then the robot mode doesn't have flaps on the back of the hands, so I like that better. And then it's just less hollow right here, so that's nice too. All in all, I like both of them, but I think I like Tigertron just a little more than Cheetor. And here he is with his good friend Eraser. And that's about it for the size comparisons in Beast Mode. Alrighty, to start off for his transformation, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up this flap. One of the things that annoyed me at Cheetor was that the flap for the robot or the Beast Mode that kind of forms the shape here couldn't move out of the way, so his legs couldn't move back unless you spread them out far enough to get around it. This flap unpegs and moves back if you want it to. So we're going to move that back and take his tail off and just leave that for now. Bend the hips of the tiger down to become the robot leg, knees, and you're done. He's just very tall. I kid. We're going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do first is the feet. You've got these little notches in the back of his feet, and there's ribs in this section of the armor, so when you bend the foot forward, it just rests on those ribs, nice and sturdy. I'm going to bend the tiger knees forward so I can fold the robot feet out. And then these little filler panels for the Beast Mode legs, you push them in a little bit, and as you're folding up the rest of the beast legs, it's going to push them back, and they're going to hang out in the back there. And then you've got these heels to fold out for the rest of his leg transformation is done. I'm just going to kind of get him a little stable now. That way if I have to set him down for any reason, there. So the heels really do help. Then we're going to go ahead and split him open in the middle. Get them all opened up here. The arms are tabbed in several places. You've got this big old tab here, and it goes into a slot in the arm. I guess that's the only spot it's tabbed in. I thought there was another. Oh, this tab, this big old tab here, Goes into that slot in the arm. I almost missed it. Almost missed it. We're going to fold his arm up, and I'm just going to straighten it all the way out for now to get the elbow oriented, because if you look when I untab this one, the elbow is kind of wonky. It's pushed all the way down for transformation, so if you just straighten his arm out, then you can get the elbow in the right spot. So get his arm forward. And then we're going to come up here. The head doesn't really plug in so much as it just kind of sits in there. It's got a tab here, which gave me Cheetor flashbacks, but it turns out that doesn't plug in there. You open up the tiger head, pull out the robot head, and that tab is sitting in the torso now, and it's going to plug into this notch. And then there's going to be a tab here that's going to plug into the notch on the underside of that. So you just want to fold it up, line that notch up, and you can kind of feel it snap in. You can close the tiger head too, and then you can see in here this isn't connected yet, and you just push it down, and then that helps keep this head still, that tab in the back. So that's what that's for. And then we'll go ahead and fold in these side panels. They don't work the best. They have a tab here, and the tab that was plugging the robot mode arm in are going to go here and here. But because of the shape of his face, they don't really do it that well. They didn't cut this out right in here. I could probably go in and shave that down, and it'd hold a bit better. But if you move the arms, it starts popping things everywhere. So we'll go ahead and rotate his arms down, and we're pretty much done. We just got to do his backpack. And what I do is I bend the legs both down, fold one in first, usually this one, and I'll use that awkward ankle hinge, and I'll just kind of tuck it in there, and then we'll take the other leg and just tuck it on top, and the feet just kind of sit nicely there. And there you've got a fully transformed Tigertron in his robot mode. We'll take a look at his details. The face is painted a nice shiny green. It's the same paint that's on his shins. This is molded plastic, and the blue here is molded plastic, but the face and the shins are painted the green color. You've got his orange eyes painted in there, a little bit of orange in his crest. All the paint from the tiger mode comes through. You've got the eyes and the stripes and the pink nose and the whiskers painted on. The arms just molded in kind of a pearlescent white plastic to give him that CGI sheen, it looks like. And you've got the green molded in, like I said. You've got the tiger stripes from the side of the tiger on his sides. Does a pretty good job of covering up the fact that this is a tiger neck. It doesn't look super awkward. His shoulders are a little farther back than they probably should be. That's fine though. I'm okay with it. You've got that same pearlescent plastic for these little shin armor pieces. Just the tiger striping down the side. Instead of flipping them around like Cheetor's, I actually think that they look good because they actually kind of fit in better here. So that's a distinction between he and Cheetor that is going to be there, is that I won't have the feet flipped around. Then he's got his big old stompy boots. There he is from the side. His arms clean up much better than Cheetor's, at least as far as the hand area is concerned. It looks really good. It doesn't look too bad from the front. It cleans up better than the Masterpiece, actually. So go figure on that. And here he is on the back. You just got the legs aren't completely hollow because those panels fold in there, so that's kind of nice. Then you've got his butt flap, and you can do whatever you want with it. Just have it hanging down. You could fold it up like that if you wanted to. I don't know why you would. I just have it resting there, not actually tabbed in, but you could tab it in if you wanted to. Then there he is from the back. He's got a panel on the back of his head, but it doesn't look that awkward, honestly. It just kind of looks cool that he's got that design on there, and from the front you can't really tell that that's too much of a panel because it mimics the helmet shape from most angles, unless you actually turn it. But there he is. We'll take a look at some articulation. His head is on a ball joint, so you can get a little wiggle forward and back, but not really up and down so much. Not so much side to side. It's basically just a swivel with a little wiggle in it. Then for the shoulders, you've got full 360, but you're going to be running into the panels, so you can move them out of the way. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to go up and down. Then you can go out well past 90 degrees. He can rotate his arm all the way up. Because of the transformation, you get, well, I guess the bicep swivel plays a part in the transformation too, but I wasn't going to do that joint. He has a bicep swivel. I was going to talk about his double jointed elbows that get crazy amounts of range in them. And then coming down to the wrists, he does have wrist swivel, as most Voyagers do at this point. Just lots of articulation on these figures. He has a waist swivel. It's not hindered by anything. A little stiff because of the side panels, but that's about it. He can do a full split. His legs can go forward all the way, most of the way. They kind of start running in there on that little shin, but if you turn them slightly, they'll go all the way up. And unlike Cheetor, you've got a flap, so you can fold the legs all the way back without having to spread them out. So we'll go ahead and push this down. So if you want a straight split, this is as good as it gets for the character. Then we've got a bicep swivel, and that shoulder piece is a molded component that's inlaid into the bottom part of that swivel, so it swivels with the leg, which is, you know, just nice. He's got a knee bend, 90 degrees of knee bend, and it goes the other way because of the transformation. If you want to have him, you know, bust a leg. He's got ankle rocker forward and back due to transformation. And then he's got a sideways ankle rocker that'll give you broken ankle syndrome if you let it. And then the heel can, you know, bend. If you wanted to have him in a pose like this, it could kind of do support, but it's mostly just clicked in and clicked out at duping points. So we'll go ahead and get him straightened back out here and zoom back out. We'll talk about some accessories. He can hold his tail, and unlike Cheetor, which I use kind of like a sword, with the droopy nature of the pose of this tail, it looks much more whip-like, so I actually have him hold it like a whip. And then he's got his gun, and admittedly I hate it in beast mode, but his gun looks super good with him holding it here in robot mode, just like the entire look he's got going on. As far as the weaponry and his aesthetic in general, I was a big fan of the cat bots in the show, about until they went and started doing that transmetal stuff. Not bad, but I wasn't a huge fan of the transmetal. Some of the designs I liked. Cheetor's first one, and I liked Optimus Prime's first one, but then Cheetor was like a werecat or something, and then Optimus turned into a mess. Transmetal 2 Megatron's good. Anyway, that is his articulation and his accessories. You could store stuff on the back of his arms if you wanted to, but other than that, he doesn't really have the whole siege port thing going on anywhere else. So, you know, he's basically just going to hold him. Like I said, he's always going to have his tail whip on him, just because that's part of his alternate mode. Whether or not I bin the gun is up for debate, because once he's done being reviewed, he's just going to go stand with his buddies on the shelf, so I might let him keep his gun. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get into our size comparisons and then our final thoughts. Here we've got him with the Rubik's Cube, our Gora Magala statue with Bumblebee movie Bumblebee, with his fellow Catbot Cheetor. As you can see, they are similar, but the mold is definitely not the same across the two figures. Just looking at the front of the legs gives it away. The arm paneling is different. If you watch my Cheetor video, you'll see that they transform differently in the arms. The head transforms different. The side paneling, while it's transforming similar, is not the same shape, so there's differences there. One of the main differences in the head transformation being that he doesn't have to rip his jaw in half to transform. And last but not least, because there are a couple in the show, here he is with Air Razor. So there you've got them together. Character kind of relevant to Tigertron as a character, just because he's not going into the regular lineup, so I don't have the last and extra views to put in there. Here he is with one last size comparison. I almost forgot to do this, so I'm actually shooting it after pretty much the rest of the review is done. Here he is with MP44 Optimus Prime. I like this figure, and other than turning MPM-12 into a trucker and shooting it for truck mode, which I don't think would be as good because it's just not the same style of robot. I'm not going to have a vehicle mode equivalent for this guy. I just like him, so I want him to be in the video. So there you go. There's Optimus Prime with Tigertron. Alrighty, so final thoughts wise, I'm actually really happy with this figure. I thought they would probably just do like a Cheetor recolor and call it a day. I didn't think they were going to actually go in through and remold a bunch of stuff, but they did. They made him a Voyager class, so he's bigger than Cheetor, which makes their animal modes work well together, because the tigers are bigger than cheetahs. The only thing I don't really care for on this figure is the weapon storage for the gun in the cheetah mode, or the tiger mode. Sorry about that, get my big cats mixed up. I don't care for the weapon storage in the tiger mode. It almost makes me wish that they just hadn't included it, because I'm gonna store it in a bin, probably. Well, now that he's been reviewed, I could just put him on the shelf in robot mode and he can hold it. But if I ever decide to play with it, the weapon is not coming with it, only the tail. Anyway, other than that, the paint is good. I like the mold itself. I like the legs better than Cheetor's, because they don't have the animal legs stapled to the front. They're actually kind of inside the leg to make it look more cohesive. The shape is still weird, but it just looks better aesthetically. I like the transformation on Cheetor for the size class, so they were able to bump that up and do a couple of things with it to clean the stomach up and have it transform in a way that the head is just complete without having to, rip the jaw open and try and stab it into his abdominal section. And then, of course, there's no tab to break like Cheetor's. The back of his head, his cheetah head, that broke. Other than that, would I recommend it? Definitely. Go ahead. If you're a fan of the show, if you're a fan of big cats, if you're a fan of Transformers, go ahead and grab this guy. And that's about all I have for you today. So, if you like the video, go ahead and give her a like. Go ahead and comment if you have suggestions, or if you'd like to say how much you love the figure. If you like my content, go ahead and subscribe so you can watch more. Hit the notification bell if you want notified when I'm about to drop a review. Twitter and Instagram links in the description below. I try the day before a review comes out to put on a picture of what's coming out. So I'm actually filming this the day before it comes out, so as soon as I'm done filming done editing, I'm going to throw that picture up. I think that's about it. I was notified that I got a new subscriber this morning, and then I looked at their name, and then by the time I went to shoot this, I forgot, so I'll apologize for forgetting your name, but I'll thank you for subscribing, and I see you guys next time. Have a good one.